200 million Afro-descendants have been ripped away from their motherland, roots, and culture. I hence feel this compelling need, this inherent obligation to reconnect the African diaspora through my nonprofit, the Djimon Hounsou Foundation.
As an artist, but most importantly as a Nigerian, I think it is vital that people across the diaspora embrace their culture and know their roots. It starts with a connection to the diaspora. The time to heal NFT collection is necessary because it not only shares our story, but offers a point of reconciliation between what was lost and what can still be found.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We feel extremely honored to have Djimon and Láolú here today with all of us. Over the next hour, we will be discussing everything from Hollywood superstars to human rights to African diaspora to art, of course. Djimon and Láolú eagerly anticipated NFT series collaboration, Time to Heal, dropping tomorrow. So let's hear from our esteemed artist, Djimon and Láolú. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great.
Djimon,
Thank you so much for having us. It's great to be here. Say again. Hello.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. I'm doing really great today. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
It's our great honor to have both of you. So the first question is to you, Djimon. You are a two-time Academy Award-nominated actor and humanitarian. You played in Steven Spielberg's movie, and also you performed alongside with Leonardo in The Blood Diamond and Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Younger movie goes, may you know from many things, Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. From December 22 onwards, we can see you on the big screen again, in the new screen, in the new Kingsman. Can you tell us how did you get your first Hollywood big break? And what has been your favorite starting role so far?
Well, my first Hollywood big break was clearly Amistad by Steven Spielberg, a film that deals with the indoctrination, the enslavement of our people. And for me, this was a huge eye-opener about our history, about the history of Africa and its diaspora. My favorite role, probably Sinke in Amistad, or Salomon Vandi from Edward Zwick, Blood Diamond, both of which, were not films that I enjoy much, just because they were emotionally painful, because of the dire subject matter, human exploitation and loss of freedom. But these were films that I come to appreciate so much more later. Yeah.
Amazing. And Láolú, your background is so inspirational. Brooklyn-based performance and virtual artist, singer, songwriter, musician, human rights lawyer, and activist. You've collaborated with many artists from Beyonce to many. Which has been the most profound collaboration with you so far?
Thank you so much for having me. I think most profound collaboration I've had is the one I had with Beyonce on Lemonade, because it was just almost like a dream come true, coming from Nigeria and been in the United States for probably 2 years then. I went from making arts in Soho on like street side to like taking my art to the gallery, and
like leaving my job in Nigeria, always wanted to be an artist, and all I wanted to do is be able to create art and have my stories told on different media, like from regular canvas to murals to anything, like even a spaceship. But then having to be, I mean, being invited by Beyonce to New Orleans and creating the body of work that eventually ended up being part of Lemonade and was recognizable almost immediately, kind of took my career to a next level. And I, for one, thought that, you know, when I was in Nigeria, I thought the culture was just within my people, Yoruba in Nigeria. And then I traveled to New Orleans and I met Beyonce, and I was so shocked that she even knew what Yoruba was. It was just mind blowing. I was like, how do you even know what this is? And then I met people who actually spoke Yoruba. I'd never been to Nigeria. So the culture I thought I left behind was actually ahead of me. And I was just a bridge, you know, to people finding, you know, that connection with the culture. So it was kind of profound. That was a profound moment in my career. Yeah.
I think you are too humble. Both of you are not only the bridge. I think you are great role models for a lot of young African generations. You know, such a great role model for them to follow your footsteps. So, Laolú, tell us, you're also becoming a human rights lawyer. What was your biggest break? How did you also get into this field?
I would say being a human rights lawyer for me was more like following in my father's footsteps, because he's a lawyer as well, and my brother is also one. So I was just the one who wanted to do art, but it was almost in the spoken code in the household that you're going to do this and this is what you're going to become. So becoming a human rights attorney was just a natural step for me to be in, and I'm grateful for that, because that has kind of exposed my viewpoint in the world. And also now I'm more aware about, and I'm more like aware about the sufferings in the world, injustices in the world. And also just coming from Nigeria, I was able to experience firsthand, you know, my own privilege as a male child, as a, you know, growing up in Nigeria versus a girl child growing up in northern part of Nigeria. Some of them didn't want to be in marriages, but because of the Sharia law and some of the things that they had to go through, some of them ended up in marriages they didn't want to. And working at the Human Rights Commission, I worked, you know, I worked with women and children, and I saw this firsthand, and it broke my heart. You know, things that I didn't have to experience, some other person has to go through it. Some other kid who's just 14 or 15 wants to be in school, ends up, you know, getting married. And a lot of this kind of is caused by poverty. And that kind of made me want to paint more. And now I just found myself doing more artwork that actually deals with women and children and just rights issues, things that have to do with fundamental human rights. And that's why this collaboration with Djimon was just spoke to my heart, because what he's doing, what the foundation is doing, was just so incredible. It just was it was no brainer for me. I just, you know, I was all in. Just the fact that we're still talking about slavery in today's time is just insane, and I'm happy to be part of any cause that would fight that. So here we are.
This is truly amazing. So tell us, how did you two meet, and how did you two first discover the world of crypto, blockchain, NFT together?
Me or Djimon?
Oh, you can go ahead,
Both.
brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll come after you.
Yeah, this world it's pretty new for me, and I'm learning, you know. But the thing is, I've always thought about my art as something that celebrates, you know, the past, also recognize the present, and also, you know, a way to also put it in the future. And we're talking about a means in which this art can actually exist now, exist in the future. And I mean, anything that deals with that actually is something I'm passionate about. So when I was approached by CSI and also members of my team, we spoke about it, and Djimon has his foundation, he's doing amazing work, and this is what we want to do. I was like, yes, I'm all in. So, I mean, it was like a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, let's do this. So it's new. This is my first NFT ever. This is my first time working with someone like Djimon. Like Djimon is he's a lot of people don't know, but we share a lot in common in terms of roots. He's also partly Yoruba. I come to find out he's actually has roots in Nigeria, via Benin Republic. It's
Wow.
just like so much there that just was like, oh my God, there's so much that we can tap from, and the culture, evidence, and I was just like, you know, let's do this. And I'm so excited. And such an amazing person to work with. Just meeting him, coming up with ideas, sitting down. We had a lot of things to talk about, not just art, life, you know, family, and so many other things he spoke about. And he just had words of wisdom. Even in Hollywood and things, the projects he wanted to work on, I was like, yeah, I want to work with you again. You know, even if it's not this. So it's just such an amazing person to work with, and such a role model, somebody you can look up to. So I'm excited for this drop and what it's going to teach.
Thanks so much, brother. Similarly, I think, you know, of course, my foundation was such a young charity, and we were trying to find innovative way to engage the youth, to you know, and to raise money to serve the you know, the cause of the vocation of my foundation. And so you know, of course, my friend Brandon at CSA, Celebrity Services of Africa, came up with this great idea to collaborate, to do an amazing collaboration with Láolú on a Binance platform, and thereby introducing me to Láolú, who came straight, you know, thought, wow, this is an amazing idea to do this. And we talked briefly, and he was like willing to hop on a plane to come to Atlanta, where I was filming Shazam, and use me as a canvas. So I was very you know, honored by that, and to be collaborating with a brother from my continent. And again, this is the vocation of my foundation, so that we are the forefront of counting our story through our own perspective, because no one would ever know best where you were born, and you know, some aspect of your culture is not for somebody else, for an outsider to come and find that. So this is how this collaboration came together.
This is truly amazing. This is the first ever joint African artist NFT series. Can you please share with us the whole creation process and the special moment about this collaboration? Maybe I start with you, Láolú.
Yeah, I mean, first off, like I said earlier, it's a collaboration, and you know, there's a lot of things that I picked from in terms of, you know, Djimon and his story, and his expression of self and awareness that I put on his skin, on his body. So just to break things down, what I do is I call the sacred art of the Ori, which is taking patterns from Yoruba mythology and Orishas, and put it on the skin, thereby transforming you from what you are now into like a warrior or a god, an Orisha yourself. So that is the transformation of what this is about. And this is taking elements of what he told me and putting that on his body. So when you look at him, it's something powerful, fearless, also awareness of his being and who he is on his body. And that is what we see here. So a lot of the things we spoke about, like ideas of, you know, Orisha like Shango, which is the two-bladed axe you see there, one on his like lower on his eye looking down, and you see the giant eye, which is Ojuinu, which is Ori 2. Then you see the O right there, which is the art of the Ori. Ori means your head. And then you see like a side profile face on his head with a bulb in it. So the ideas that we have and we spoke about, that, you know, freeing your mind in itself is the beginning of freedom. Breaking a mental chain itself is the beginning of freedom. We begin to see, you know, how we can divest ourselves from what we otherwise think it's the chains that we put on ourselves. And that's something he spoke about. I was like, wow, this resonates deeply with me. And I wanted to put that on there, you know, a time to break free. And then we begin to heal the wounds, you know, that have been inflicted on us. Because like he said, no better person to tell the stories than us, ourselves, because we are the ones who felt this. And as we said, you know, like a person of dark skin or somebody of color, somebody who looks like us, black people world over, the moment we appear like this in this skin, our bodies are subject to what we deem that now people debate this skin. It's almost subject to like debate of who we are. What to other people is just a skin of covering becomes something that is political, something that we have to now be able to, talk about. So I use this skin itself as something to speak of ancestors, people who have come before, and tell their stories on this same skin. And what are the skin to do with the melanin? So the melanin itself, it's the paint. Like when you're looking at my forehead, you see the crown there, and you see the heart. The crown is not the paint, it's actually the skin. So what I do is using that melanin itself to speak for us, and it continues to speak. Do you understand? And Djimon is just incredible. You can see he's melanated through and through. His volumes, everything we spoke about just spoke volumes, and it just connected with me. And the arts just speaks to all the things we spoke about. I'm just happy to be doing this. I'm excited for the world to see it, and I'm just like, yes, game time, and we're here.
It's amazing to hear Láolú explain certain aspects about his work. It's interesting when Africans come together, whether you're about to put something on your skin or inject something inside you, you question where it's coming from. And here, my brother, this brilliant artist, I did not question too much what he was putting on my skin, but I was in the hope that he's putting positive, inspiring and images that speaks profound volume about the Ori culture. So this is the first time hearing some aspects of the painting that I, as a canvas, was wearing. You see what I mean? So thank you. I much appreciate, brother. That's all to just say that.
Can you tell us more about the name Time to Heal? What do you want to heal? Why do you think now is the time?
Well, Time to Heal. Well, first of all, one aspect of the idea of Time to Heal is for two great artists like Láolú and myself, two brothers from the continent, coming together to collaborate and to make a positive statement about Africa and its diaspora. So hence, the Time to Heal project was born. This artwork was all about Láolú and me using, allowing Láolú to use my body as a canvas, and so this is sort of like how interestingly, this came about. And of course, we want to be at like I said, it's instrumental that we are, at the forefront in counting our story.
Amazing. So how will this NFT collection, in your mind, will benefit Africans and African diasporas?
Well, I can speak a little bit about my foundation. I mean, some aspect of my foundation. First and foremost, this is about tremendous healing. I mean, we're looking for healing. We're talking about over 200 million Afro descendants living outside of Africa, most of whom are completely disconnected and lack historical knowledge. Marcus Garvey once said, "A people without the knowledge of their history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." A people without the knowledge of their history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. This quote is a symbolic theme for our art collection, Time to Heal, because it brings to life our history, our origin, and our culture. And so this quote inspired me to create. So this quote inspired me to create my nonprofit, the Djimon Foundation, which aims to reconnect the African diaspora and champion this idea of healing through reconciliation and reconnection, right? And combat modern day slavery. And any money, any proceed that was raised for this will be used to support, of course, my brother Láolú and my foundation as well.
Brilliant. So Láolú, how do you think NFT will change the digital art space for creators and for African descent?
I mean, I think it changes the game, to be honest. And working with artists like Djimon and on this platform, Binance, biggest in the world, it's like literally we've elevated the game, elevated the level in terms of how we talk about NFTs. This is historical in itself. So it's in the sense that this is something that would probably in time, other younger artists are going to look at this like, okay, how do we move from here? So it's more like something inspirational, something to aspire to. And also just the transparency in itself and the fact that artists right now are looking at those platforms and looking at NFTs to be able to make financial gains for themselves. So it's more also a way in which that artists look at it financially, a way where they could, the way where they could make something with their art, in this space. So I see it like a win-win for everybody in terms of doing this for a cause and at the same time making sure that artists see what is possible with art, how they can also be part of something altruistic with art. So I'm for it. I'm just like here and I'm happy, I'm beaming, I'm excited for the future and what this will do. Because I didn't think I would be doing an NFT like last year, but now here we are doing something amazing with it, giving back, at the same time creating something dope, so I'm here for it. I'm really excited for the future as well.
Amazing. What do you think about NFT in the art industry in the future? And can you share some of your advice for the young people who are currently building NFT artists or creators? Any advice you could give to them?
Well, I mean, for younger artists, I think this is the time now to open up more to more possibilities and just fall in love with the process of creation. Just keep doing what you love in terms of just falling in love with the process itself, because it's one of the things in the world is it's very hard to live in this time as an artist because people are doing things every day. If you're on social media, you're always being bombarded with a lot of content and people are putting out stuff and it's doing NFT, doing that. Like it shouldn't, I mean, it sounds very cliche, but don't let the outside noise drown your inner, voice. Don't let the outside noise drown your inner voice, because that voice is what's going to separate you from the rest at the end of the day, because you are unique. You in your giftings are unique to yourself, and everybody has a unique gift. I did not accept my art form for a long time because I felt that, who would like something that is traditional?
Old.
People would like,
Right.
But look at where we are today. I'm on the platform with you, Binance, with Djimon, and we're in the world doing what set me apart. So that's why I tell young people that embrace yourself. Don't get swayed. Eventually, the world will catch up to you. It might take time, but just stay in it and enjoy the ride. That's my advice. Enjoy it.
That's really amazing. For Africa, Binance will have a strong connection. Our first charity project started in Africa. Personally, I spent 8 years in Africa prior Binance. So I want to also seek your advice. How do you think blockchain companies can support African artists more?
Well, blockchains, I guess I'm understanding that blockchain technology enables full transparency of transaction, right? And it verifies ownership, right? It ensures that if an artist sells his product or his art, that he will get compensated fairly, right? And so it's also a new platform for an amazing possibility to be discovered again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's like,
please,
like you said, it gives opportunity for artists, like you said, royalties embedded in it. So whenever your artwork changes hands, you get something for it. And I've always wondered as an artist why we don't get that, in the art world, where people sell your work and your work can literally command lots more value eventually down the line, but artists don't get paid anything off of subsequent sales. And this is not even when you compare it to musicians. Like when you use their songs for movies, anytime the song gets played or gets used anywhere, they get royalties all the time.
Right.
But for artists, they don't get anything. It's like once it's off you, it's off you. And to me as a person, I just feel it's unfair. And what NFTs are doing right now is to correct that. Now you have, something every time the work changes. And also, like Djimon said, transparency is just very transparent. You see everything going down. There's no third party, no agent who's double dealing.
And I think that
galleries,
yeah,
all
there's
that.
no third party. There's no third party. This has been amazing for, as you know, the banking system in Africa. Most of us don't have any banking system or don't have any access to banking system. All of a sudden, one day to the next, we hear about cell phones, and most of Africa never had a landline. I think Láolú will attest to this, right?
Yeah.
Most of us never seen a landline, and all of a sudden we spear jump into the next technology was like cell phones, and all of a sudden people in villages have cell phones. They don't even have electricity, but they have a cell phone, and they know how to charge it. And they've been doing most of the transactions through cell phones.
And they have more than one cell phone.
Exactly. And so you could imagine, this is Africa is definitely ready for crypto.
Yeah, it's the future right now. I'm excited for the future.
I cannot agree more with you. I think number one, we really in Binance, we believe NFT is the new innovation for renaissance for art, and then which is lowering the entry barrier for people around the globe, particularly for the bottom billion. We want to see more artists from developing countries without barrier, showing their inspiration, their art, to the rest of the world without intermediaries. And that's something we're really proud, for our NFT platform. And I think you too, what you did is leading up a great example of doing that. And the second layer is what you talk about, the transparency, the charity. We are very proud, 3 years ago, we set up the first transparent donation system, which is without intermediaries. Normally, let's say, I'm currently in Paris. If I want to give €100 to a poor girl, let's say in Nigeria, with most of the charity, probably only 25% and into the account of that girl. Most of them becoming the transaction cost. But what you are doing now, the proceed from your collection can go directly to your foundation, to the hand, of the end beneficiary, to those people needed, in Africa. So I think this is also very transformational. So maybe I start with you, Djimon. Talk about your foundation and talk about why, like a percentage of your sale will clearly go into your foundation and then go into Africa directly. We want that story to be told, please.
Right. Well, certainly I've sort of like articulated my inspiration about this, but it would be nice to sort of like indicate how I started with this vocation. They started on December 2nd, 2019, the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. I founded my nonprofit to bring awareness through education and reconcile the issues with the diaspora. That said, let me briefly explain what Africa Reconnect aims to bring to life. Firstly, we offer sponsored trips to young Afro-descendants between the age of 18 and 29 to visit the birthplace of their ancestors, to visit Africa. So the idea is really to curate a life-changing experience for them, right? Now, secondly, we organize cultural running event that symbolically reverses the direction of the transatlantic slave trade. And this event will be held in Africa, in Europe, and the US. And we will also roll out our music event that showcase the influence of African culture on contemporary music. And lastly, our foundation aims to combat modern day slavery by partnering with local NGOs in Africa. That's pretty much to sum up, the vocation of my foundation.
That's amazing. How do you think other charity can learn from this, and then how they can leverage from blockchain for good?
Do you want to take that?
Oh, is that for me?
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? I thought it was Djimon. Sorry.
Sorry, what's the question?
How do you think other charities can use blockchain for good, learning from what you did?
Oh, okay. I mean, I think with the space right now, I think there's a lot of,
I think Láolú, I think we sort of touched on it earlier. I mean, of course, this is again about the how we see blockchain enabling transparency of transaction and verifying ownership and so on and so forth, and where an artist can be this is an amazing platform to also be discovered, where an artist, when he sells his work can be accounted for and be rightfully sold. You see what I mean? I think that's I think that's where you're going with.
That's what I was gonna say. But then I mean, learning from that is like a template for other people to follow. Something that they can learn from how we've done this. So I think that's like Djimon said. That's the thing I was gonna say. It's more like learning from how we did this, and they can learn one or two things.
Sure. And Láolú, how does your experience as a human rights lawyer influencing your art? You talk about you get some influence from your father, but then how does that passion, get into the creation of your art?
I think being a human rights attorney opens you up into the world and the injustices that surround you, something that you otherwise wouldn't have noticed, but it makes you more sensitive to the plight of other people. And I think that's what's happened to me. Is now I'm more aware, I'm more conversant, more intuitive to people's pain and plight. So I mean, just talking about what we're talking about, slavery, I mean, in this century it's almost should be unheard of, but unfortunately this is where we are. And why? It's we can look at the roots and where it comes from and how people have been treated as others. And like I was telling you initially about the skin, how it's always been seen through the perspective of the West. It's like Africans or Africa has been the subject of the gaze. We've been seen as culturally insignificant for so long. A lot of that history stems from white supremacy.
Oh, completely.
A lot of that history stems from.
I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, if you look at the spectrum of domination, I mean, you could clearly see from finance to religion to education to military. I mean, the spectrum is
So it goes on and on, and it's written this history. Of course, it's been the people who conquered. So it's always the history has always been written again by those who colonized us.
Exactly.
And now we're beginning to shift that narrative, is to explain by Africans for Africans who we are, what this culture means, what the stories actually mean.
Right.
And hopefully with spaces like this, with projects like this, people begin to learn a little bit more, because people see what's on my face or see the art and they're like, what is that?
Yeah.
But now they hear from artists like myself and Djimon what this really means, how important it is, and what this code is, because this is a storytelling activity on our faces. We tell stories, with codes from Yoruba art.
Right.
And that's what this is about. Yeah.
And I think part of that also, I think social media has a lot to do with that, to exposing certain aspects of our, way of life, if you will.
Heritage, yeah.
Knowing that blockchain is used, could possibly be used to fight modern day slavery by creating a record of an entire supply chain, right? For example, if a consumer of a coffee, a certain brand of coffee, could quickly understand if there was any child labor involved with this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so to ensure that workers get a fair pay, wages, so at DHF, we're hoping to engage the conversation with cryptocurrency and add transparency to our, so that our supporters can see that the money is going to the right place.
Right.
Amazing. We have been talking. You have been talking a lot about the roots. The culture, who you are. And I want to talk about the young generation in Africa. Clearly, both of you are role models. What you want them to remember about themselves?
Sorry, can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Maybe the connection is not very good. What do you
Yeah.
want the young generation of Africa to remember about themselves after seeing your NFT?
Well, I think,
So,
Láolú, if you want to go ahead.
no, go
I
ahead.
have
I didn't hear it.
No, I have a feeling that if I understand the question correctly, I think this, first of all, I think this, what I'm hoping to create here is a conversation about healing and lack of identity, right? Understanding that if you don't know where you come from, you don't know who you are. It's impossible. So we have the obligation to bring awareness to the African diaspora about its roots and culture, right?
Yeah. Just to add to that, it's very, like, if I got the question right, it's more about showing like the connection that we can all achieve, the healing we can achieve by connecting, our roots to the diaspora, because
By coming
this
together,
art
yeah.
form and what we're doing here is more like connecting what has been lost through the past to what we can find through the art and the stories that we can tell. So when you look at my art, for example, my thing, it says from slave ships, you can see slave ships here, to spaceships.
Yeah.
So it's more about like elevation. It's been the journey, it's been my story, and it's also what Djimon is saying is that we can move from where we are right now to a point of healing. We begin to understand the depths, understand the culture, the heritage of who we really are. And the more we begin to understand the roots, the better we begin to heal. The more we begin to understand it, the better, because a lot has been stripped, from the continent, like you said. A lot of people, like identities, culture, heritage is just yanked off of the continent. And what we're doing right now is like a bridge, between the diaspora and Africa.
And a tree that grows in Africa, that tree, let's say for example, a mango tree that grows in Africa cannot be planted in the West. It will not grow the same way. So inevitably, you brought a group of people to enslave them here and force them into here, and these people have been left, with so much wounds, emotional wounds, and completely schizophrenic, centuries after centuries. The family tree is destroyed.
Yeah.
And so your history don't exist. And so it's imperative that we come together to to sort of like champion this idea of healing and reconcile the differences,
Yeah, because it's very important. Like there's the viewpoint of my and our ancestors, like John said. It's very important to come together for that person's healing to happen. Because not just healing on that, I mean, even on the continent, there's a lot more education that we need, in terms of what is
brother,
happening.
say that again, brother, because I mean, I did not know anything about my continent until I came to the West, and I had to come to the West to dig in order to understand certain aspect of my continent, about who I am.
Very important.
Tell us more about that, Djimon.
Tell me. Well, I mean, again, the big eye opener, kind of like I said earlier, was making this film with Steven Spielberg, Amistad, and that was a huge eye opener because, mind you, today, if you ask any Afro descendant you come across, where are you originally from? Well, I mean, Georgia. I mean, I'm from Atlanta. I'm from, Virginia. What are you talking about, brother? I mean, like, so, but where is the roots of your being from? Your ancestors, where they're from? And most of us are completely, sort of like almost not knowledgeable about that, because, again, the West would have painted a picture as if, we're not even human. We were not even human, considered human at first. And then now, mind you, we're the first people. We're the first. Through us, everything else was created.
First. Yeah.
Through us, everything else became. So
this is very beautiful. So I want to ask you talk about being a bridge, and you also talk about the roots. Let's talk about your vision of the future of African art with the enabling of blockchain and NFT. Share with us your vision.
I mean, personally, I think we as artists, especially from the continent, we just my vision is that people begin to understand the stories behind the art, who the artist is, their viewpoints as to being human, not just generally their geographical location, and also not being treated as anthropology, like a piece of history. Because a lot of times you go into places, you're like, oh, this African, and they just want to trade the commodity. They don't want to understand it, and just not wanting to understand it kind of infuriates you as an artist. But as an artist, we are in these spaces right now. This kind of exposes us because it's transparent, and also people can get to know and understand the viewpoint of the artist even better, so that way they can lock into his vision and understand who he is. So I'm excited for the future, and this is why I'm doing this, and I'm excited for how we can place this in the future, and other artists that are coming after us.
Brother, we're the same African who created the pyramid.
Yeah, bro.
Please, when you talk about, they talk about us as if we're history, we're past history. No, we're the same people who created this gigantic, pyramid, the most amazing human structure ever existed.
Existed in the history of humanity.
And we still, to this day, we're still trying to comprehend how they did that, how they built that.
How it was built.
Yeah, how it was built. Yeah. I mean, I would, if this is a sort of like our last, verbs, then let me know. But no, this is, go ahead, Helen, go ahead.
No, I think what you just said is so amazing. And actually, for a lot of young people, I think they will be so inspired of what you are doing today. And I'm sure you are really writing, I would say, a legacy part of the African, art for history. This is really beautiful. Anything, and Andrew, you like to say to the young people, Africans, also, around the globe who are watching you now? Any words you like to share with them? Something you want them, if one sentence you want them to take away from this 1 hour, what would that be?
Your stories are valid. Your culture is valid. Everything about your identity, your heritage
Yes.
is valid and it can stand anywhere in the world.
You are more valid than
Mythology.
you know.
Yeah, you're more valuable than you know. Your mythology, when we talk about Yoruba mythology, and it should be, when you talk about it, say it with your chest, like you would talk about Greek mythology. The same way. If you can pay money to watch Thor, you should be able to pay money to watch Shango. You should be able to identify that and know this is your history. And there's so much that can be tapped. Djimon and I are just scratching the surface, literally scratching the surface. There's so much more that can be done.
And mind you, just to add to Láolú, mind you, part of that history that we're talking about, that you're talking about as far as Greek history and all that came from the Egyptians.
Egyptians, yeah, a lot of it.
And from the Egyptians that came from the Nubians, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say my inherent obligation, obviously, is to champion this idea of better tomorrow, today. Our vocation at the dhf.org, at my foundation, is unity in diversity. But I would simply close it up and say by saying this beautiful quote by Burna Boy, who said, and he said it well, and I quote, for Black lives to matter, Africa must matter, unquote. And that's what our collaboration is really all about.
I love that.
Thank you.
Well done. You know, that is so beautiful and so amazing and so inspirational. You know, thank you very much both for your time today. We're all excited about the release of the Time to Heal NFT collection, which goes on sale tomorrow, 12 a.m. Eastern Time on Binance NFT market for just 5 days. Limited edition sale consists of 5 unique pieces and a total of 1,000 pieces in the collection. You know, this is going to be a history in art for Africa. A lot of people will talk about it. We're so excited to have you. Let me quote something Nelson Mandela once said, "It's always impossible until it's done." So congratulations for both of you.
Thank you.
It's great
Thank you.
and our honor to have you both on our platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you so much.
Helen. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
brother Láolú.
Thank you.
It was an amazing
Thank
conference.
you so much,
Thank you
brother.
much.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much love. Much love.